Okay, welcome to Bitrix Live. I'm Damien Edwards, Sales Manager of Bitrix24 Partners Interface, and with me I've got our Support Manager, Andy Naylor.
Hi guys, if you've got any questions that you want answering today, just put them in the question box to the side of our stream, and you can also tweet us at Interface, or you can drop a question over to our email live@interface.com.
Okay, so let's see if we've got any questions that have come in beforehand. What would you recommend the best way to book client meetings in? So as you can see today, we've got the mobile app, so we'll try and answer questions on the mobile app. If the mobile app, most of the features available on the browser version are available through the mobile app, so if you've got anything specific to mobile, then send those questions over to us. So the question is, the best way to book client meetings in. So if we go into the CRM, then very straightforward. Firstly, if we want to find our contact, we can do that through no, we don't do that. If we want to find a contact in the CRM, I don't know a contact in the CRM. Let's go and navigate through here, our contacts page. Okay, so we can search for any of these in the search bar, but we can see a list view of those in there. And the way to add book a call in is to book it in like this. So I can schedule that for a date in the future. If you want to put any comments in terms of the subject of the call, you can do that. This calendar will look for available spots. It will give you some sort of warning if you're booking a call at the time that you've got another event. We can save that. And when that call's made, it's booked into a planned section within your contact record here. So I can see all my planned meetings as and when we'll work through those. They'll drop out or planned and go into the history over here. In order to follow those calls up, then you can do that through two ways. Through your calendar, you want to work with a calendar. I guess if they're meetings, they're long meetings, you might do them in a calendar in order to schedule them at specific times. If you're working through a lot of calls, they don't have to be done at particular times of the day, but you need to do them on a particular day, then your activities will appear on this activities page, including things like outgoing calls, things like meetings, tasks that need to be completed on that day. You'll see on this page, and you can create a filter here. So I'm looking at non-complete calls that are responsible to myself. Let's have a look at this user, and what we might want to do is put in a deadline. So I'm going to put in current day, and we can see a list of activities that I just need to work through for the current day. If I open up any of these, they'll pop open the screen, and we can actually dial from the system. So it all does it all for you. Very straightforward, and not leaving the system to do anything there. It's all handled inside Bitrix, and if we want to do that, if we want to book, or if we want to look at calls on the mobile app, then you can do that through your activities here in the same way, and then I can call people from this as well. So you can do essentially everything you can do in pretty much everything you can do in the browser version, you can also do on the mobile site as well. So let's put that over there. Might be clearer over that side. Okay, see if we've got any other questions. We didn't look at calendar, but you can schedule these calls and book these calls in on your calendar as well. Anything?
So we've got what are the differences between automation for leads and deals for business processes? So if we go into, we'll go into the CRM settings, and then we'll have a look at the automation. So Bitrix has quite a powerful tool to automate your processes from your leads and your deals. We've covered this quite a bit recently, but you can go into the lead automation, and you can see here, if we just it's a little bit smaller, you can see here that these are based on the lead statuses. So we have the new, valuing, assign, on hold, converted and junk lead. So every time a lead is moved into or dropped into one of these particular lead statuses, then we have a series of different actions below. So for example, as soon as a new lead is created, we automatically send an email out, and then once the email's been sent out, then we can change the status automatically to valuing. So we can move the process of this particular lead on automatically once the actions have been completed. And we usually find that clients tend to automate the process of leads a little bit more than they would deals. So we have it set here that we change statuses on each one after a specific amount of time. But we usually find that this part's automated like this, and then once you've qualified the actual lead itself, then we can actually go into a more of a manual automation process. So if we were to go into a deal, and you can see in here that we've got again a series of different statuses for the deal, then but we've got a more of a manual automation rules applied to each particular stage. So obviously the leads are, you're going to be qualifying them, and once you convert them to a deal, then you can you can form a series of different actions on these stages as well. So
okay, let me change our theme background. So as you probably know, you can now update the background, the theme of your site. I'm going to change it to the default one so that you can all see our contact details down at the bottom there. You need to get in touch with us. There's our website and email address. If you need any support for training, if you need any customizations, any processes building, or if you're the pre-sale stage and you want to know about which edition's right for you, then get in touch with us on those details. We've got a question. We've got a question here about calendars. Sorry, about booking pool cars and electronic machines. So question is, how do they allocate those time for those booking those particular vehicles, and what they're using at the moment, currently creating a user in the system for each one of those vehicles. And the question is that the right way to do that? And I think there's actually some better ways of doing that. You can actually create a calendar for each. Sort of focus on meeting rooms. You can create a calendar for each meeting room, and move that out of the way so you can see. You can create a calendar for each meeting room, and so and then you can create a process for reserving space in that meeting room by time. So I think the best way would not be to do a user, but actually to create a new calendar. So you can should be able to add a calendar. Do we go into here? Should be able to add a calendar up here. So you can add multiple calendars, and so in this case you'll add a calendar for meeting room 1, meeting room 2, meeting room 3, as we've got here, and then you would use a process to allow people to book that meeting room, and then a booking on that meeting room will show up in a calendar, and we can build into the process an approval so that the system will automatically reject a request from a slot that's not available. In fact, you probably give people access to the calendar so that they can see what's available. And so we'll look in the workflows. So we don't have a meeting room request available as a standard process, but it would be a fairly straightforward process. I'm trying to see if there's all that's similar to that. I guess kind of booking leave or something like that would be a similar process. Just go into one of the workflows, leave approval. So you would create firstly a form, and then the form would trigger a process like this, which will look at the calendar, the relevant calendar, and it will check for availability. And you can build in things like notifications to alert people that it's been approved or rejected. So I think the answer is not to use a user, but to use a calendar. If you want to get in touch with us, we could show you exactly how to set that up. But fortunately, it doesn't seem to be a standard process for that in the workflows. But I'm pretty sure we've done it lots of times before, so we can quite easily set that up for you.
So we've got a question come through on YouTube. Can we do email hosting with your plan so we can do IMAP POP3? So Bitrix comes with an email integration tool. So you go into your profile, click on email integration options, then you can actually set up your mailbox on here. So once it's set up, I do believe you can use the IMAP. It does have IMAP settings, and you can connect to POP3 as well. And what that actually does is, so for example here we've got demo interface set up and connected to Bitrix. And what it does, it checks it on a regular basis. I think it's around about every 5 minutes. And you can integrate it with your CRM. So if you just click on edit settings here, then what it does is it checks your inbox and it checks your sent mail as well. And any contact that has emailed you that exists within the CRM, it will copy that email into that contact's activity stream in the CRM. So the good thing about that is you'll be able to see a history of communication between yourself and that particular user, or it might be another user that's on your system, so you can see a history of communication between those two as well. So it not only checks your outgoing email, but it checks your incoming email as well.
Okay, we've got a question here. Is there a way to have a stage I create that will indicate a successful lead versus dropping it down to the area that is junk lead or successful lead? I'm not too sure if you can expand on that, and we can have a look into, is there a way to have a stage I create that will indicate a successful lead? So if we go into the CRM, then leads, and if I just open up this, go to more in settings, and we just open up that settings page in another tab, then if we go to statuses and drop downs, and the first one is lead statuses, so you can customize the status of these. We can change the text, change the description of those. You want to change the color on those, and if you want to add additional statuses, then you can add a large number of different statuses. And then so this is the new status. These are the stages that you move through, and these are the two final stages. So at the final stage, you've got to have it's won or it's won and it's lost. But you can change the description on those. We use junk lead or we use converted, and converted would mean that the record gets converted into a permanent company or contact record within the system. So you can configure the stages of your leads, the colours that you're using to display those. We click into leads in here. Then if we add some more leads, and save some of these, save these leads there. And if we go into we can view leads in different ways. So we can view them on Kanban, and I can progress them across the stages like this. You know, if you want to convert it or close it, then we can do that as well quite easily. So these are the stages that we've named in on our settings page, and I can view them. I can view them like this. And of course, if we progress through, they change colour. So it gives us an indication of where we are. Final two stages are, as we saw, junk lead, which you can rename, and then converted. And we've got options here in terms of what we can convert this lead into. So it can be typically it's a company in contact. You might want to also create a company contact and a deal from the one lead. So it's going to bring across some contact information from this lead. Some of the information that's populated in the lead is going to bring it across into the contact and company. So yeah, I mean, you can customize these statuses. Let's just convert one of these. Ask you which pipeline it wants to go into. So if I save that, okay. So what it's asking me to do now is, because we didn't have a contact associated with that lead, it's asking me to populate a contact. So depending on what information you've got in a lead, this one's come from an incoming phone call. So if I just open up that lead, we can see the information I've got is a telephone number, but I don't have any other information around their name. So I wouldn't be able to convert that to a contact without adding that additional information in. So if we go back in to convert, let's just convert that into a contact like this, and we can add their name. So the mandatory fields are first name and last name. Once we've got those in, we can save that. It does some searches, so it looks for any duplicates in the system. We can choose to ignore that and continue, and it will save that as a contact. So very easy to customize lead stages. In addition to, quickly, in addition to being able to see where you are with these stages graphically, you can run automation on these stages. So when each of these stages is achieved, then you can run different rules down here. For instance, we're targeting a Facebook ad at this stage to a user that has a Facebook account with a telephone number or email address linked to this lead. We're sending a text message in this case. We can send emails. So you can do quite a lot of automatic actions on a lead based on which stage you're at on the lead. Okay.
So we've just got a question coming about connecting calendars. So yeah, on your if you're using the calendars within Bitrix, you can sync. There is different options what you can sync on here. So these are the different options. You've got Google Calendar. If you're on a Mac, you can connect your Mac calendar. You can connect your iPhone, Android, and also Outlook. It's pretty straightforward to do. You just click on connect and it'll ask you for some parameters. It acts as a two-way sync, so anything that you add in your calendar will go into your Google Calendar, for example, and anything you add in your Google Calendar will come back straight into Bitrix. And that also leads on a little bit to you can actually specify your permissions on your calendars. So if you want your calendar to be seen by other members of the team, then you just have to add view rights to your calendar, and they can then overlay like we have in here, like Damien showed you a little bit ago. If I want to overlay other people's calendars on, then I can simply check these calendars. And you can see an overview of everybody's calendar. Yeah,
okay. I've got a question about how to see communication between a user and clients, email communication. So there are different ways to handle email communication, or how you record or use email within Bitrix. So Bitrix includes its own email client, firstly. Okay, that will open up an external email client because this user is linked to an external email client. So you can choose to use and link an external email client, or you can choose to use the Bitrix client. How you would handle email communication, firstly, we looked at just a few minutes ago. You can add your email account to Bitrix, and if we go into the CRM, we should be able to see some examples of how that sort of email can be recorded inside. So you've got the option to continue to use an external email client such as Outlook or Gmail, and CC the system. So you can create an email address such as CRM at your domain. If you CC or BCC that email address on an outgoing email from your Outlook, that will copy that email into the relevant contacts. It will look for the sender's email address, and if that email address exists within a contact within your CRM, it will copy that email into the activity stream. So you're getting a record of that email as and when you specify you want to see a record of that email. For incoming emails, you will receive those incoming emails normally in your existing email provider. Bitrix will also receive that email and copy that email into the system. So these emails will add into the activity of the contact. I guess something to bear in mind if you're enabling that is that you'll get every reply to that email added as a separate item into Bitrix. So Bitrix, this isn't an email client, this is an activity stream, so it's going to create a new activity every time somebody sends a reply to that email. So you're going to get quite a lot of activities on there. Of course, if you want to copy and paste emails into here, you can post activities in here manually, and that, some businesses prefer to do it that way. And then thirdly, you can send emails from the system like this. So we can, you can add your email address so it comes from your own email account, and if I send an email from here, then it will record that email into my activity stream. So you can see this is an outgoing email is recorded in my activity here.
Yeah, and I think one of the good features with this email is as well, I don't know if we've got anything set up on here, but you can actually specify templates to use. So you can see here that we're emailing Mark here, and then we can specify inquiry, and then you can have a pre-populated template that you can just select. So it's quite a good way. These templates can be in HTML as well. So you can see here, you can populate it as much as possible, and you can put HTML code in there as well. So you can have a quick way to send an email, and especially a marketing email if you want to direct it to this specific person. Mm-hmm. You can just select the template up here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so absolutely, you can send quick follow-ups to inquiries. There is of course kind of an additional way, and that will be to create a process. So let's say we've had a sales call, we've done a presentation with this company over the phone, and we want to then initiate a process. We could trigger a process that's been pre-built. Part of that process could be to send them an email. Let's do a quick look at how we might do that. So if we go into, if we open up the settings page, and if we go into our automation and business processes, so you need to be an admin to access these pages. So we want to create a process to send or part of the process is going to send an email from a contact. So we look into the contact here and go into add template. So we've got a process we're going to call sales follow-up. We want to just trigger this process manually when at the appropriate time and leave that decision to the salesperson. So we're not going to auto-run this process based on a status changing or a field changing or something updated in the system. So we're presented with a start and end point, and we can add items to the middle of that. So, I mean, we can actually add some. Is it a variable we need to add for a parameter? So we can add a parameter which would be something like type A. We'll call it type, and then we'll have a list, and set the type A, type B, and into there. Save that. Save that. So we've set a parameter which will ask the user what type of sales inquiry is this, and we've named them type A and type B. We can then have a condition in here which will look at the answer to that particular question. So we're going to look in variable amounts, I think.
You need to do it slightly differently. I believe you need to go into
I've got a bit adventurous here.
If you just quickly set it up.
So we're going to build a process, a short process that allows a user, salesperson, after a sales call to select what type of process they want to run firstly, so what type of follow-up they're choosing for this particular prospect. And we can then add a series of actions to that. First one is going to be just to send them a follow-up email. And then after that, we might want to create tasks for people to do some investigation into this prospect. We might want to book a calendar meeting. So these can all be built in. We might want to request approval from a sales manager to take this opportunity forward, or request approval for a price on a quote, something like that. So we can add structure to how the sales process works by building these processes that we can make them kind of mandatory as well, so that it needs to the process needs to be run in order to be able to progress the opportunity on to the next stage. So we've got a condition. It will look for the drop down, what we selected in there, and then we're just going to add something like so look, email. We can post out an email. We can also send a text message if you want to do. So we probably do the same thing on sales type B, but the content of the email is going to be slightly different. So we would send a text message as well, but again, the details on the message can be slightly different. And you can use any of these standard action blocks on the right hand side in order to run this sort of process. If you wanted to do a kind of approval, it might be that actually at this stage, we want to seek approval from a sales manager in order to be able to start this process of sending an email and this little mini marketing campaign. Then you can build in an approval here, which will notify your sales manager through their workflows page up here. They can approve this, and it will automatically then move forward. So different ways of sending email from the system. Essentially, you can use your existing email client and sync those emails into Bitrix. You can use the Bitrix built-in email client, or you can use some sort of process like this that has email built in.
Yeah, just following on from this, just with regards to the processes. I mean, we've just shown you briefly how to set one up, but I mean, one of the common processes that we have is when people run through their opportunities in the deals. So they will come to the end of a deal, they will quote, they will and then win the deal. And when a deal is won, that's when projects usually start. And what we have is we've created on the end of the deal, we can manually run a process and it create a project work group, and then that project work group will have all the tasks created for that particular project. Say, for example, it's a website design company, and you have fixed tasks that you need to do, like visuals and coding and development and launching. You can have those tasks pre-made and prefixed, so you don't need to create them every time. And that's where processes become really powerful, because they're saving you a lot of time. They're assigning those tasks to the right people. And in Bitrix, you can on the paid versions, you can invite your clients in on the extranet. So if you've got, for example, a website project and you invite your clients in, then they can actually see the progress that you're making through those particular tasks. So say, for example, if you did have a website project and you created visuals, you could ask your client within Bitrix on the extranet for some feedback on those visuals. So they would get an email notification that you've asked them that, they would click on the link, and then they would get directed straight into Bitrix. So this is where these processes become quite beneficial to make your business really efficient.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. They make it more efficient, but they also make it more structured as well, so that people follow a set procedure, or the same procedure every time. I think that's pretty important in businesses. So a question here: if we do a self-hosted plan with you, if we do a self-hosted plan hosted with you, will email accounts can email accounts be created and hosted through our self-hosted Bitrix? So if you have a self-hosted plan with us, firstly on hosting, if you have the self-hosted version of Bitrix, or if you want to buy that version, you have the option to host it on a machine that's physically located in your office on a server. You can allow access to the instance over the internet, or you can restrict it, so you can have people just within your local network access Bitrix, or you can allow them to access it from their mobile app or from their externally from home, etc. Or we can host it for you, so we can create an instance on our server for you. And in answer to your question, if we host it for you, then you can, if you want to move away from your existing email provider, you can use the built-in Bitrix email provider. I think normally if you're using Outlook or Gmail or something at the moment, and there's no problem with it for you, then there's no reason why you should necessarily move that into Bitrix. There's no additional integration by hosting your email inside Bitrix, because you can do all that integration anyway, as kind of a standard. So, but yeah, absolutely, you can choose to host your email accounts in Bitrix. As we're talking about the self-hosted plan, then just have a quick look inside here at mailboxes. So on the self-hosted plan, you can create, and this is separate to the email clients. This is different to the email client, but you can create a set of email boxes inside Bitrix, generally for system emails that will have rules attached to them. So, for instance, support@yourdomain.com can have a rule attached that will create a help desk ticket inside Bitrix. But your rule might be that it creates a task or an email to that address, will create a CRM contact, or your rule might be actually that an email to that address will update a CRM contact, so it will look for the sender's email address and add content to the relevant CRM contact in the CRM. So, but to stress, this is not the email client side. This is mailboxes. It's only available on the self-hosted, but it allows you to run rules and do some kind of lightweight integration with other systems by collecting information from incoming emails. You can filter. You can create filters that look at the content of subject lines or the content of the body of the email or the sender's email address, and from that it can run different rules or processes. So yeah, we can. I mean, if it's best for you, then we can host, you know, nearly all of your business functions really inside Bitrix, from emails and CRM and leads and CRM and through to managing projects, to HR, to storing documents. The only thing that Bitrix really doesn't do is kind of the account side. So we don't manage local, you know, we don't manage. You can produce invoices in Bitrix. We don't have an accounts package that allows you to manage sort of local tax affairs and VAT and things like that. Is there a way to brand Bitrix24? So there is a couple of ways to change branding. You can add a logo at the top left here. You can change your themes now over here. So standard themes, or adding your own custom image in here. If you have a self-hosted version, then you can change the login page as well. Remove the Bitrix login and add your own design to the login page.
I just got a question, quite an easy one. Just what's the difference between a normal work group and project groups? So if we just go into work groups and click on create. So there are different kinds within each one, but if you can see that we've got a work group and we have a project group. So the simple difference is that when you click on a project, you get the project start dates and end dates, and you get a little bit of different terminology. So you get project owner, project subjects and things. So the main difference is the project start and end date. With the work groups, you can see here that you don't get that. So work groups, so you can usually use for, we've seen quite a wide range of different uses. We have clients use them for clients themselves. We have used them for departments. So we've seen marketing groups where you can put all your marketing assets in. And then projects is obviously you can have a whole range of different projects within a project group.
Mm-hmm. I've got a question here about we don't want sales staff to see each other's deals within the CRM. Is there a way to prevent them from seeing and deleting deals? So there is, there certainly is. Let's leave that one, let's exit that page. So, well, I guess firstly the way to do this is to go to your employees section and to create your company structure. So there's different ways of doing this, but this will be certainly the starting point. You can create different sales teams. So we have a UK and a US sales team here, and we can create permissions based on these individual departments. So a usual scenario would be that you can see each other's deals, companies, quotes and opportunities. You can see other people from the same team. You can see those. You might not be able to delete them, or you might be able to change fields like the responsible person, so you can't change who is looking after that particular prospect, but you can view them. But you might want to restrict access to deals outside of that department. So these two departments will be able to operate pretty much independently. So when they go into the CRM in the US, as a US user, I would only see contacts there in my list. I'd just see those contacts that are visible to me, but there might be hundreds of more contacts available that just don't show up on my list view. If we go into contacts, I'd see just the ones that I'm allowed to see. So let's go into the settings and permissions, and you can create different roles within the permissions here. So we've got quite a few. We've got one here called UK Sales. Just a look at that. And you can get into quite a lot of detail based on these individual modules. So the modules are down the left-hand side. The one we've been mentioning is contacts, and these are the different permission levels that I'm going to assign to this particular role, which is the first stage. So in order to be able to just to view this, I said that in this case I can view all contacts that I'm responsible for, or anyone in my department is responsible for. So that would be, I guess, sensible. I can add contacts. I can update only my own. So I can't change a contact if I'm not responsible for it. Again, that's makes some sense. So I can see contacts, but I can't change them unless they're my own. I can delete my own contacts. You need to give people some flexibility about being able to do this. You might want to restrict, which we have done on this profile, the ability to be able to export large numbers of contacts or any contacts. So we've got denied there. So you can create your own structure. You can even go into more detail on deals and leads. So you can look at different stages, and so typically when a deal becomes a one deal, then you might want to actually lock it down. So in this example, I can update a deal for any deal that belongs to me or belongs to somebody in my department, all the way through these different stages, all the way through introduction, quotation, qualification. When it comes to this one stage, there's full access denied. So it means that the opportunity can be changed, the values can be changed, who's responsible can be changed, the content of it can be changed. As soon as we've run it, we might want to lock it down so that it can't be changed at a later date, which can affect kind of reporting figures. So that's an example of where you can change them through as they progress through stages.
So just whilst you're on there, just got a question about if somebody has the role access denied, does that piece of functionality just not show? So yeah, so if you were to deny the ad, for example, you will just not see an add contact button. Mm-hmm. It just wouldn't be possible for that element. So if you're in company here, for example, and you have access denied, the add button for that particular person who's got this role just wouldn't be able to see the ad button.
Yeah. So if somebody's looking around a page and they're convinced there's a problem because they can't add a contact, there's no button anywhere to add a contact. It might not be that there's a problem with the system as such, it might just be they don't have the permission. And so as Andy says, the button's not greyed out, it's just not visible to that user. Which kind of makes sense. We're not going to show things to people that they're not allowed access to.
And that's the same for the update. So the edit wouldn't be there, and again the delete wouldn't be there if it was. Mm-hmm. So it carries on all the way through.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So we create our particular role, and so the first thing to do is to create your structure on the company structure, your company chart, then create your roles, and then apply those to individuals. So you can apply them. We can see at the top here, group administrators have the role which is called administrator, which would essentially be everything. This particular user, John Smith, has also administrator, but I can give him sales role or one of these other different roles. So we can assign permissions to an individual, to a group. So an administrator is a group. To add an extra layer to that, or you can assign a role to all members of a work group. So I can use departments if I want. I can use individual users. I can use social networks, which are work groups within Bitrix, or I can use user groups. So user groups wouldn't be available on the cloud account. So that's an additional permission. Structure which is available on the self-hosted. Gives you a bit more flexibility around being able to not only show and prevent to manage what content people can see within the CRM, but also what content they can see in menus and in other areas of the system as well.
I think just on a final point to note on these permissions, to say, for example, if John Smith was in the IT department, the user would always take the higher role. So, like I say, if John Smith is in IT, and this has the UK sales, but you can see John Smith's here, he was an administrator, he will always take the administrator role rather than the UK sales. So.
We've got a question here about does Bitrix have an auto dialer? So we get this sort of question quite a bit, and the answer is yes, it does. And so if you're running a call center, firstly we can update records like this very easily, delete those records. If you're running a call center and you can create a filtered list of contacts, firstly, I think would be the thing to do. So I have 2 contacts. I'm this user, John Smith. I have 2 contacts which are mine and one which is somebody else's. I'm going to create a filtered list of all my contacts. So it's that time of year. I'm going to phone all my contacts. I can do my filter, and I've got the big task now of phoning 2 people. So I can select both of those contacts, or that list of contacts, and we can see quite easily we've got a dialer here, so I can start dialing. When I call, it will automatically call the contact from the system, and it will, when I hang up, it will automatically call the next one. So yeah, I think we speak to quite a few businesses that are operating call center type environments, and they want some software to help them manage that. There is a lot of software that helps works in call centers. Bitrix is a very, very big product that has can manage lots of different areas of your business and includes auto dialing. It might not include every single feature that you need. If you're looking at the specific call dialing software, there might be some functionality in those that doesn't exist in Bitrix, but the basic sort of being able to create a filtered list and then be able to start a call is available. In terms of incoming calls, you can also route incoming calls through to individuals. So have a quick look at incoming calls. So you can purchase multiple numbers through Bitrix, and you can create different rules on those individual numbers. And one of the rules that you can use is to route a call through to the person that's responsible for that contact. So should an incoming call come from a number that we recognise that we have against a contact, the call can go through directly through to that particular contact. So if we go into managing our numbers, and if we go into configure, then this is where we can configure routing calls. So we'll call forward to call group. Oh, here we go. Queue group settings. So we can, in this case, so we're looking at incoming calls to this number are going to be routed to this particular user. But if you want to add extra users, you can do that. So quite a lot of different settings, including things like greetings as well. So you can add automated voice greetings for those particular.
Yeah, one of the common questions with telephony is, and especially good within Bitrix, is you do have the ability to record all the calls. So you can view your calls if you go to, I believe it's in here, and then if you go to the itemized bill section here, then you can see there's not going to be that many because we don't call that much out of here, but you can see the record, and then you can see here that you can download the recorded call and you can play back. So it's good. That's really good for especially if you're training, so you can play back people's calls and learn from them, or just for an auditing purposes, you can listen to a list of all the. And again, you have pretty much like in all of the modules, you have a great filtering tool, so you can select the employee you want to listen to their calls, and you can see who they have been calling on there.
Okay. I want to send an email when a deal is at a particular stage. How do I set this up? So if we're talking about deals, there's a simple way of doing this. So let's go into one of these deals, Swan, and we can use the standard automation in deals to do that. So these are the stages for the deal, and we want to configure. We've got some actions here, but we can see we've got one here. So we've added in send email. So when the deal reaches this stage, it will automatically send an email. So this seems quite. There's quite a lot going on this page. There's quite a few different actions happening for each of these stages. This tool is very, very useful and very, very popular, but it's not necessary for all businesses to have quite so much automation. It might be that on this page you just have this option to send an email. Let's say when a new deal is won, just to send an email to the customer. So that's quite a straightforward way of doing that. You can configure who the email is sent from as well, so they come from your domain. It's not coming from a Bitrix system email address or anything like that.
So I've just got a question about the customize. Is it possible to customize the PDFs? So I think what you're referring to. So Bitrix has in the quotes section, it has the ability to download a PDF. So you can see in here, we can download a PDF. And also you have the option in the invoices as well. So I believe on the cloud you have a third-party application called Doc Designer. So you can edit and put your logo on the PDFs via that method. Or on the self-hosted, you can pretty much, you have free reign because you have access to the actual source code of these PDF templates. So you have free reign to brand them up however you wish. And if you wanted multiple, so say for example, you wanted different company PDFs, if you're split up into multiple companies, then you could actually, on the self-hosted, you could actually click on a drop down and say, download the US PDF, download the UK PDF.
Yeah. We've had a comment here about an issue when a call transferred to a cell phone, it didn't ring and it was receiving missed calls. So it could be that actually that's a local setting on the phone. So when you're working with if you're working with Bitrix in a browser, then generally you don't have any problems. If you're working with an app, which it might be that there's a local setting. Of course, if you're receiving calls on a desktop as well, you've got to make sure that you've got all your correct microphones selected in order for you to be able to see those calls coming in. So it could be that it's just a local setting. So just in case you don't know, you can transfer. You can receive calls on the mobile app as well as receiving an incoming call on the Bitrix in the browser. You can use the app as a soft phone and receive incoming calls through there. And in addition, you can transfer calls. So a call can come into an office and can be transferred to somebody who's on the road to from the office to their mobile, to the app. So if you're answering calls obviously through your mobile, you're not using your mobile network, you're using the internet, so you need to have connection to be able to receive a call. So that could be another reason why calls are not being received well. But yeah.
So just got a question about extranet access. So an extranet user is only has access to the work group that you've invited them to. Now work groups have a lot of features, obviously, to use, from tasks through to calendars, but they would only ever get access to that particular work group that you invite them into. They would never get access to anything like your intranet side of things, so they wouldn't be able to see your CRM or your own activity stream with your employees. They wouldn't be able to see that. They'd only be able to see the extranet work group you invited them into.
I've got a question about booking events into a contact in the CRM. Not too sure what you mean by events, but as such. But if you add your activity up here, so you can add any of these actions, whether schedule a call or posting some information into here and attaching a document or video, things like that. So yeah, don't know what you mean by events. I mean, you can. We've got a new feature here that allows you to record a meeting. So if you're in a face-to-face meeting, and you want to record that, you can do that, and the item will appear as an item in your history, and you can review that, play that back later on. So if you want to follow up with that, I've got a minute or two left, and if you've got more details on that, we can help. Question about getting Bitrix on their own URL. So you can get Bitrix on. So when you sign up for a Bitrix account, it creates a random address, a random string .bitrix24.com or whichever region you choose, .eu and .us and various others. If you have a professional plan, then you can upgrade. You can point any domain to your instance so that users can access it on that domain, and you can do the same thing if you're on a self-hosted. In fact, if you're on a self-hosted, you're going to need some sort of domain to host it on. So, and that domain can be a top-level domain, mydomain.com. It can be a subdomain. So if you're using the domain you're using for your website, you can have something like portal.yourdomain.com as the address for your Bitrix instance. Can you have mydomain.com/portal? Yeah, you can do that. So I don't know what the implications are of having it sort of folded like that, but I think essentially it can be hosted. You might have some email. You might have some email problems if you're doing that. I don't know if you're using. I don't know. But I'm sure we could advise you if you got in touch. Okay, so if we've got any more questions. Okay, I don't think we've got any more questions. If you want to send your questions to us for next week to live@intraface.com. If you want to join our webinars on specific topics, which are 10 a.m. every Monday, go to our website at intraface.com/webinars and you can register for those. But on YouTube there's no registration, so we're here same time every week. And that's it. Thanks for your time. See you next week.
Thank you.